I'm doing this show standing up. I'm still in the Lambeau Field press box. So please let me know if you can't hear me. This is an interesting setup because it's like a tiered level, but I just couldn't resist to get the field in the background. That's the snowy field in the background. It is 2:39 in the morning, and I'm the last one in the press box. Just finished my article. It's posted up on The Athletic. You can go check it out. And I had to be creative with this. I mean, so subscribe to the channel. We're going above and beyond right here. After one of the most epic 49ers wins in franchise history, I think you could say so. They have now qualified for the NFC Championship game 5 times in the last decade of play. So that stretches from the Harbaugh era, where the 49ers won a crazy game right here on the field behind me, Lambeau in the cold, and to the Kyle Shanahan era, where the 49ers played an NFC Championship game against the Green Bay Packers 2 seasons ago. And now we'll move on to face either Tom Brady and the Buccaneers or the Rams. So if you're a 49ers fan, you can just sit back and enjoy the divisional playoffs tomorrow, because your team has just delivered a grown man win. The grown man win of all grown man wins out on the field behind me. As you can tell, I have the peak coat on. I have layers on. Still a little chilly, but I'm inside, so I'm not complaining. The walk to the car right now is going to suck. The drive through the snow right now is going to suck, but it's 2:40 a.m. and I'm high on adrenaline after covering a great NFL game. The 49ers won 13-10 over the Green Bay Packers in a way that only these 2021 / I guess you should say 2022 49ers, because all this crazy stuff started happening as soon as they flipped the year into the new year, in only a fashion of torture that this 49ers team can possibly execute. In fact, I should probably reach up here and put on the banner. 49ers football. It's torture. That's exactly what it is. 13-10, the final score. This was one of those games where I predicted, I used the same line that I did for the Rams game, the prediction week 18. Normally I chop it up, break it down. I did that again in my 10 observations, but in the prediction portion over the course of the season, I try to be reasonable and logical when I wrote down some of these predictions. This time, in week 18 against the Rams, same thing. I just decided to say somehow, some way, the 49ers will find a way to pull it out, because there's something about this team and their mettle and their resilience and their way to just, gut check their way through these intense, insane NFL tests. There's something about what the 49ers have built through adversity that gives them the ability to succeed when nobody else expects them to. So that's what I thought entering the Rams game was a somehow, some way kind of game. Of course, that ended up coming to fruition. They're down 17-0. Their win probability is like at 0.2%, and they figure it out. Well, here at Lambeau Field, it wasn't looking much better, right? The 49ers are down 10-3. It's good 70 degrees colder than it was at SoFi Stadium a few weeks ago. The wind is howling coming off the bay, where Green Bay is part of Lake Michigan, right? This is intense weather outside. This is the kind of stuff that people get frostbite in if they're not well enough covered. So hopefully I'll do okay walking out to the car. But my goodness, to face that deficit with the offense playing that poorly, the offensive line not blocking for Jimmy Garoppolo, with Garoppolo also making a big mistake with his interception there at the end of the first half, with Aaron Rodgers having the football to be able to dig out of that hole, thanks to special teams of all phases. The special teams unit so maligned for the 49ers, for the special teams to give the 49ers that punt block. Jordan Willis to do it with a high ankle sprain, the injury that had been the bane of the 49ers' existence throughout all of 2020, the high ankle sprain, right? Garoppolo had one, and like 25 other 49ers had one. For Jordan Willis to suffer a high ankle sprain last week, still find a way to play, and then deliver the punt block that was recovered by Talanoa Hufanga, a rookie, right? People criticize this rookie class, a rookie to tie the game, and then to turn around and get a defensive stop that was highlighted by Josh Norman coming in cold after the injury to Dante Johnson. So Josh Norman's sitting out in 0-degree wind chill weather. He's the GOAT, and not in a good way, not the animal GOAT, he's literally the GOAT. He's not the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT in a bad way. For Josh Norman to come in off the bench, 0 degrees, and deliver against Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you talk to the 49ers, Jimmy Ward said Rodgers and Adams, they're like Jordan and Pippen. And you had Josh Norman, of all people, come in, shut them down. For the 49ers to do that on top of the special teams play and then come out in the clutch, drive in the howling wind, the flurry of snow. I called it like a snow globe in my article. The 49ers broke out of the snow globe. You're looking down at Lambeau Field right now. It looked like a snow globe. I think it still does, although the snow has stopped falling right now. But the snow, somebody had shaken the snow globe before the end of this game. And because the snow globe had been shaken, it was just flurries of snow, biting wind. 49ers get the ball at their own 29-yard line, and they have two challenges, right? The first challenge is obviously to score, but the second challenge is to score and not leave Aaron Rodgers too much time on the clock to rebut, because the 49ers in week 3 had left him too much time. They had left him 37 seconds. Well, they started moving down the field. And how did they move down the field? Well, they did it with a team effort. Every single facet of the game contributed. Of course, to get the 49ers in that position, they had to have special teams and defense. And the defense was awesome. The Green Bay Packers averaged 2.5 yards per play with Aaron Rodgers, your MVP probably, after halftime. 2.5 yards per play. But anyway, the 49ers get in position with that defense and that special teams. And then they have to use all of the offense's might to march through that frozen tundra that you see right behind me. A Jimmy Garoppolo throw on first down, taking advantage of man coverage. George Kittle against Devontae Campbell, 12 yards. Boom. Then a run for 4 yards. Then there are 2 minutes left. Then the 49ers again. Pass rush starts coming from Green Bay, coming out of the 2-minute warning. Garoppolo fading back, doesn't panic in the face of the pass rush, finds Deebo Samuel, leads him perfectly with a dart. Garoppolo special right over the middle, 14 yards. 49ers down to the 41-yard line. 3-yard pitch back to Deebo Samuel, gets him to the 38. Now, the field goal was kicked on that goalpost right there, okay? The wind was blowing at Robbie Gould and the 49ers' backs as they were driving this way, right? So they thought that 52 yards, or getting to about the 35-yard line, would be enough to set up Robbie Gould. That, of course, is probably a little ambitious, and we all know that probably getting it down to 45 would have been more realistic, right? So, but Garoppolo and the offense are operating with the 35-yard line as their target line. And after the completion of Deebo Samuel and the 3-yard run to Deebo Samuel, they're at the 41. So they're 6 yards short. They face a 2nd down and 7. And then they face a 3rd down and 7. Now, the 3rd and 7 is the play of this game. The Packers at this point had exhausted all of their timeouts. So the 49ers, if they converted this 3rd down, would have a chance to exhaust the clock and win the game with a field goal. They would have a chance to undo the frustration and the nightmare of week 3 and vanquish Aaron Rodgers for the 4th time in the postseason. All that stood between them was this frozen tundra and Green Bay's defense. So that's actually a lot that was standing in between them. It was the definition of 49ers football. It was torture. The 49ers had a pass play called initially for that 3rd and 7. They trusted Jimmy Garoppolo. They thought he'd be able to get it done through the air. But then they saw Green Bay's defense line up in nickel. And why did Green Bay's defense line up in nickel? Well, because the 49ers had credibly established the pass earlier in the drive with completions to George Kittle against the linebacker and then to Deebo Samuel on that 2nd down and 6. So Green Bay came out light. They came out in nickel. They came out ready to defend the pass. So the 49ers called timeout. And the 49ers said, well, why don't we mix this up a little bit? Why don't we go back to a trick that worked against Green Bay in the NFC Championship 2 seasons ago? Green Bay thought the 49ers were going to run on the opening drive of that NFC Championship, or they thought they were going to pass on 3rd down of that drive. And the 49ers instead hit the Packers with a trap draw to Raheem Mostert for a 35-yard touchdown. So draw is just quarterback in the shotgun. Defense thinks that it's going to be a pass. Last second, you hand it off. Running back bolts out of a cannon. And obviously, he picks up the needed yards to gain. It worked against the Packers 2 seasons ago, and very poetically, the 49ers called it again out of the timeout, needing those 7 yards, and they got 9 because it worked again with Deebo Samuel this time. Now consider this on that final run for Deebo Samuel to set up the 49ers for that field goal. That was 3rd and 7. And that undid and exercised the demons of 37 seconds of frustration against the Packers back in week 3. I mean, there's something special and poetic about this 49ers season, and you see it in the connections with the numbers. 37 seconds is where Rodgers got him in week 3. 3rd and 7 is where they got Rodgers and the Packers today to seal that game. 2 more 1-yard runs after that. Then Robbie Gould lined up, and, as the finishing special teams blow, he knocked the field goal right there. You see where that goalpost is, right through those uprights. And the 49ers won this game by a final score of 13-10. Key numbers. I know I'm not putting up the text and stuff this time. I can't read your questions, so you can continue talking or whatever in the comment section. I'll do a standard video from the hotel room, but I thought I'd give you one from Lambeau Field. Key numbers are Green Bay only 2.5 yards per play after the first half. The 49ers completely shut down the Packers really after Fred Warner forced the fumble on Mercedes Lewis on the Packers' second drive. From that point on, the 49ers defense owned Aaron Rodgers. This was a different story than week 3. It was exactly what we said would happen in the preview shows. We said that this was a different 49ers defense, that their coverage would be able to give the pass rush time to get the Rodgers, and they did. They sacked him 5 times. The 49ers run defense, which gave up 100 yards back in week 1, well, they were a lot better today. How many rushing yards do you guys think the Packers had? 20 carries for 67 yards. Boom. 33 fewer rushing yards in week 3. That proved to be all the difference. Meanwhile, the 49ers rushed 29 times for 106 yards. So they controlled the flow of this game on the ground, but they still made so many mistakes offensively. They're dropping passes. Garoppolo came out, and he was the only player that showed up in the first quarter offensively for the 49ers. But Kittle dropped the pass. Juwan Jennings dropped the pass. Brandon Ayuk dropped the pass. And the 49ers couldn't pull away from Green Bay. But even despite their mistakes, and Garoppolo made one too with the interception at the end of the first half, despite the mistakes, the 49ers controlled game flow because they were able to run the football. And their defense just suffocated the Packers. Their defense suffocated the Packers, and then guess what? It was that third phase of the game because they needed everything. Special teams that blocked the field goal at the end of the first half. And guess what? On that field goal block, that was Jimmy Ward. Jordan Willis, the high ankle sprain guy, was the player who batted down the arm of one of the Packers blockers to give Jimmy Ward the opening to come in and block it. So Willis was a special teams here on the field goal block and on the punt block later in the game, and then Talanoa Hufanga took it in. So the 49ers, in just the weirdest, most torturous fashion possible, actually managed to control some sort of game flow, but kept on shooting themselves in the foot. And, it shouldn't be too surprising when you see the conditions out there, right? Kept on shooting themselves in the foot, couldn't firmly put this away. And then the Packers were close to putting it away until the 49ers came roaring back. And, it's the heart of a champion. The 49ers played like the NFC champions from 2 seasons ago that they were, and now they're going to have a chance to add another trophy to to their collection. And then, that's just the Hallis Trophy. They're going to have a chance to add a Super Bowl trophy if they're able to get this done next week. Again, it's either Garoppolo against Brady, awesome story next week, or you're going to get to see something maybe even more intense, and that's 49ers Rams Part 3, depending on what happens tomorrow. But, it was just crazy. I've never seen anything like this. And then you have to realize that the 49ers came from, they resurrected against the Rams. They won one of the weirdest, most torturous games that I've ever seen against the Cowboys. And now they do this against the Packers. You've already heard me discuss how this might be similar to the San Francisco Giants in baseball, the even year magic of the Giants. Well, as soon as the calendar turned to 2022, which was an even year, the 49ers started doing this really, really weird stuff, right? They started overcoming massive probability disadvantages to beat the Rams. And then obviously they beat the Cowboys. And then today they weren't very likely to win either, given how that game was going. And with the mettle and the grit and the toughness, they beat the Green Bay Packers. So I don't know what's next, whether it be Tom Brady and the Buccaneers or the Rams. But it seems that we all want to know how this story will end or how we'll continue moving on to the Super Bowl, because there truly is something special that has happened here in January. A look at some of the stats before I have to go out to my car. Maybe I should go out to the middle of Lambeau Field and do it in a YouTube Live right now if I get enough subscribers, you guys need to hit that subscribe button right now. I'll do that. But I mean, it's almost a game where you can throw this away when you look at the individual stats, just because of, you know, how disproportionately impactful the last 6 minutes were. The 49ers did so much wrong through 54 minutes, and then they could do nothing wrong over the final 6 minutes, right? The fourth down where Elijah Mitchell was stuffed, I heavily criticized Kyle Shanahan's play calling on that play. I said, you know, Kyle needs to run the quarterback sneak here. The Packers were gambling on a handoff. The handoff gave Green Bay too much time to penetrate. And there you go. It was a stuff, and it didn't look good for the 49ers at that point. That was with about 6 minutes and 10 seconds left. So up until then, the 49ers had dropped so many passes. Pass protection was terrible. Tom Compton had gotten beat. Laken Tomlinson had gotten pancaked at left guard. Garoppolo didn't have a chance for a lot of the game, and then Garoppolo compounded one of the errors of his own offensive lineman and Trent Williams when he held near the goal line and he threw that interception, a pass that never should have been attempted. I mean, it was just spiraling downhill, right, for the 49ers. It wasn't good because all of their self-inflicted errors had put them in a very precarious position. Well, that, you know, just a switch flipped at the 6 minute, 10-second mark. When deadline pressure was there, when their backs were completely against the wall, the 49ers for those final 6 minutes could do nothing wrong. I mean, what's the probability of that? A team that does so much wrong, so many self-inflicted wounds over 54 minutes, literally does nothing wrong for the final 6 when everything is on the line. I mean, if somebody's a mathematician and can give me the probability of the 49ers going from multiple mistakes to 0 when it actually mattered in those final 6 minutes, in these conditions, in the most hostile conditions that you could possibly face, the 5th coldest game in Lambeau Field history, if somebody could give me the probability of what just happened on this field, I would be happy to hear it, and I'll share it in another YouTube video. So let me know what the probability was, because I know for certain that it was low. But in those final 6 minutes, the 49ers registered 2 3-and-outs against Aaron Rodgers. Their defensive line overwhelmed the Packers' O-line. They didn't allow anything on the ground, and I don't even know if the Packers tried by the end of the game. Rodgers did loft up a deep ball. That didn't work. Even Josh Norman, who came into the game in a pinch after Dante Johnson got hurt, did not let himself get beaten by Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Again, in a storybook finish, all the guys who were scapegoats earlier in the year, all the guys who took criticism earlier in the year. So that's Norman. That's the 49ers special teams unit. Hell, even Garoppolo, who got so much unfounded criticism this year, even though he was a winning, efficient quarterback, all of those guys delivered in those final 6 minutes. I mean, it was the defense that lost the game against the Packers in week 3 when they blew that 37-second lead, right? The 1-point lead in the final 37 seconds. And the defense smothered Rodgers. I mean, think about this. This is an epic all-time performance. For Rodgers to have the year that he had, to be as hot as he was this year, and to start this game in the fashion that he did by carving through the 49ers defense, and then to only be able to muster 10 points on the whole game and 2.5 yards per play, that's historic stuff in the second half. The 2.5 was in the second half. That is historic stuff from the 49ers defense. For the special teams unit to set their sights on this game, because guess what? Green Bay is one of the few teams ranked worse than the 49ers special teams unit this year. They're dead last, number 32. For special teams to target this game, put Deebo Samuel on kick return, to, you know, have Jordan Willis play through injury, to set their sights on a block of both a punt and a kick and accomplish both of them, thanks to Richard Hightower, the coordinator who saw some of that stuff, who had taken so much heat this season. That's poetic too. And then for the offense to be able to finish it off in the most storybook fashion possible, a kick that knifed through the snow behind me. I mean, you just have to shrug at that point. You just have to be like, oh, well, that was crazy. I don't know, how else to describe it. Is this it feels like Snow Globe was my article. It felt like this all happened within a snow globe. It felt surreal. It didn't feel that you could actually put your finger on it and, touch what happened, but it did happen. And the 49ers are headed to the NFC Championship game. They found a way to win. And maybe we have finally solved the conundrum of Jimmy Garoppolo. The stats like the guy. He's efficient. The win-loss record likes the guy. He has the best winning percentage in NFL history of a quarterback running a team that is an underdog. So the guy grew up an underdog. He went to Eastern Illinois, FCS school, and he keeps on helming these wins, no matter how ugly they are. And the 49ers might be even giving off a little Eli Manning, New York Giants vibes right now with the front four they have. And, Lawrence Tynes was the kicker in that negative 33-degree game here, however cold it was, for the New York Giants that, booted it through and gave the win over the Packers. Robbie Gould texted Lawrence Tynes this week. How crazy is that? To get advice on how to kick in these conditions. So, and then, Garoppolo will make some head-scratching decisions, and he'll look bad in some situations. I mean, today, I think the offensive line for the 49ers, that's something they got to fix. We'll talk about Trent Williams' potential injury later. But then he comes up clutch in the biggest moments. That's what Eli did in some of those seasons with the New York Giants when they won the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it all just makes you think, it's this team has a real team of destiny feel to it. The 49ers do. And they get more confident by the week with each one of these victories that they notch under their belts. And that only makes them more dangerous. And, I'd heard from people around the league that were connected to people with both the Cowboys and the Packers teams that neither Dallas nor Green Bay wanted to see the 49ers. And now we see why they didn't want to see them. The 49ers bring this toughness, this physicality. They're zagging while other teams are zigging, and it pays off huge in games like this, in wild affairs in the snow globe that we saw today. Anyway, this is my stream of consciousness. There's so much more that I'm going to go through. I'm going to be in a more controlled environment. I have to get back to the hotel, drive through negative 10-degree weather, hope I don't crash, get on a plane tomorrow, head back to the Bay Area, and record a lot more content for you guys. There will be question and answer sessions. I'm not reading the comments today because my laptop is like 5 feet away from me. I wanted to give you guys a view of the field. I thought it'd be worth it at the Mecca of football, Lambeau Field, covered in snow. I'm the last one in the press box. It's 3:00 in the morning. So it's time for me to go because I got a flight to catch that's like 2 hours away through a blizzard pretty soon. Subscribe to the channel. I think this occasion calls for it. Everybody take care. And I have to reach up here and turn off the live. 49ers win 13-10 over the Packers. Subscribe, and we'll all talk soon. Thanks, guys.